Well, welcome everybody. My name is John Birdsong. I'm with Atlanta Ventures. This is Atlanta Startup Convos. We've got three great companies today who are at different stages of the business. Some are pre-revenue. Some are. I think everyone has a product. I'm really excited about these three. These three businesses and early stage companies, really because they've have some traction and are at the early stages of bringing on customers, which is always most exciting. And so Atlanta Ventures, we serve entrepreneurs through content, community capital. We love to hold events like this. We've got Atlanta Healthcare Meetup coming up in October 14th, 15th. We love to provide content. If y'all are behind a web browser right now, check out atlstory.com. We just interviewed Nick Miller of Gather. Great story of pivoting 2 or 3 times before really finding product market fit. Also, Atlanta Ventures company Calendly was just on How I Built This with Guy Raz. So definitely give that a listen as well. One of the best How I Built This out there. I am saying that very biased. And then of course, we also will help start and partner and co-found companies with you. So we've got 3 to 5 ideas that we really want to go start in multi-billion-dollar markets. So if you or any of your friends are interested in starting a company in a huge market, let's definitely chat. Awesome. So Atlanta Startup Convos, for those that are new, 3 companies present. We really focus on the product and really the high level problems that are being solved, and then dive into the tactical ways they're being solved through the product. So today the first one, we've got Michael from Managr. And Michael, I'm just have great admiration for, because very pleasantly persistent. About, I don't know, 9 months ago, we exchanged emails, and he said he was thinking about moving to Atlanta. And then about 30 days later, he emailed me and said, "Hey, I'm in Atlanta. Just moved the whole family." And so Mike is absolutely in the trenches, building his empire every day, and that's a fun place to be. Mike, why don't you go ahead and take it away? JC,
awesome. Thanks, John.
We're still okay. Great. Yep.
Appreciate you responding to my initial email.
You are quite welcome.
Awesome. So I know I only have a few minutes, so I'll try to keep this as quick and concise as possible. First off, my name is Michael Gorodisher. I've been a head of sales for the last 12 years at a company called Meltwater. And the whole reason I started Managr was because of so many inefficiencies in running a sales pipe. So I don't know how many people here have started a company and have done sales or spent their career in sales, but there's a lot of inefficiencies in managing your sales pipe. Most salespeople don't like the software that they use. Even at companies with loaded tech stacks, there's still a bunch of inefficiencies. So for example, more than half of the people out there still use spreadsheets, and only a third of the salesperson's time is actually spent on sales, which is ridiculous. That means that a majority of their time is just jumbling between a lot of different things in order to manage their pipe. So I was looking for a tool to help my own team when I worked back at Meltwater and couldn't find anything. There was, I think, products for SDRs, products for RevOps, but nothing actually for AEs and sales leaders. And that inspired me to build Managr. So Managr works either standalone or alongside a tool like Salesforce to create efficiencies for reps, pipeline management, built from the salesperson's point of view. But then the real magic happens because people are using it, because reps are actually in the tool. Data hygiene is going to improve, efficiency is going to improve. You're going to spend a lot more time actually doing sales as opposed to juggling a pipe. And that leads to far greater insights and visibility to sales leadership. So sales leaders get much better or much more crystal picture of the pipeline. Forecasting is improved. And they also get reporting that is out of this world, which I think is the best part of the tool. So it's really 2 things. It's pipeline management on the rep level. It's sales analytics to leadership. And those are the people that generally look at the tool first and buy. So hopefully that gives a bit of context. No, I did not create Salesforce, but the journey begins on Salesforce. If I did, I don't know if we'd be on this call at this conversation. But what's cool is most of my clients have Salesforce. If they don't, that's fine. Managr runs standalone. But what's really cool is you can go into Salesforce, pick your opportunity, and then sync it to Managr. And then again, to save time, you'll see that everything goes into Managr. So this is Managr. Opportunity management, forecasting, and reporting are the three pillars. So you can take your opportunities from Salesforce, bring them in here, and then as you work them in here, Salesforce is auto-updated. No more manual data entry or anything like that if you have Salesforce. You have different filters, so you could see your entire sales pipe, and then you build what's called these different lists. So you can build lists based on however you want to break down your pipe. So cases you want to follow up on, new opportunities, you can create a new list. Just trying to hover around all this Zoom stuff. And then you can start putting opportunities into your list and start organizing your pipe. So for instance, if we go into my call list, being a startup, you do a lot of cold calls these days still. So if I go into one of my opportunities, Atlanta Ventures, everything I really need is in this bar here. I can change the forecast. I can change the stage. These stages are all custom to what the client wants. And basically everything is here, but the real magic happens once I click here. I have our friend John, and now if I go to pick him up and he doesn't answer, I can log it. And everything I'm doing is not only saved in Managr, but goes back to Salesforce. So if John does pick up, I can do booked a meeting, 2 p.m., save, change it to booked, create a reminder. And so everything I need is right in this tool. I don't have to run around to different platforms. I don't have to open up my email. I can email John right from here. I can add all of my favorite templates like, John, where are you? Send, preview, attach. And so this works native to my email. So even if I don't send from here, all of my correspondence will be logged in here. And again, as I'm going, everything is being logged. I can even text John. This isn't actually going to you, John. I'll go to myself. I don't think we've exchanged cell phone numbers yet, but the idea is
we have,
okay.
Yeah, no, just kidding.
Well, the next text will go to you then. But the idea is everything you do, you can just run to all of your different opportunities and be able to either follow up with them, give them a call, connect, all within seconds. What I'm doing here takes hours in a tool or in a CRM or using spreadsheets, which is what most people are doing. And then once I finally have the demo with John, I can have different types of touch points. So maybe we had a discovery call, and then maybe we had a product demo. Again, everything I'm doing here can be customized. So it doesn't feel like I'm doing really any work or data entry. I'm just working through my sales process. And everything that I'm doing is now being logged in the tool. So you could see I have all of John's information. I can change the forecast amount. And all of this, again, is going to Salesforce. I can change my expected close date. I can upload attachments and whatnot. And also, I can see all the data behind what I'm doing here. So how many times have I called him? He's called me. And then every time I get an email, alert, a text message, a reminder, I get it all here. So I never have to leave this platform in order to move along my day. So just to speed things up, here's the best part of the tool as far as pipeline management. All of your notes are saved. This is the biggest frustration for salespeople is their notes aren't saved anywhere. And if they're using, again, like a standard CRM, there's not really a place for notes. Well, everything here is logged and you can even do a note search. So if you want to see how the demo went, you can actually see just that note. All of your emails are logged here. I can respond to John in a thread. All of my text messages are here. I'll skip you guys the drama of what I text myself for these demos. And then of course, all of my reminders. So I know what demos I have coming up, what follow-ups I need to do. And then if I go in, it brings me right into the opportunity. I can see what's going on. And this is a real platform. So this is literally how fast it works, which is a big appeal of the tool. Moving on to forecasting. So because the tool is simple, because reps are actually in it using it, forecasting becomes also super data driven, powerful, and easy to use. So if I want to see this quarter what I'm forecasting, here's my sold amount. I can update my quota. I have my forecast, which is weighted. So based on these forecast categories, I'm weighing my forecast, 50% of this amount, 75% of this amount, 100% of this amount. So if I get a case that went from strong to verbal, you see how quickly now dropped into verbal. My forecast changed because verbal is weighted more in my forecast. That allows me to give an accurate commit amount, accurate upside amount, and shows you everything that I have done activity-wise throughout the date range that I selected. So if I'm a sales leader and I want to see what everyone is up to in my entire team, I just do select all. And now I have everyone's forecasts. I have everyone's deals with visibility to go in and actually see, oh, wow, this is a verbal case for 100K. What's going on? Let me read the notes. This is the easiest way for sales leaders to have visibility into the pipeline. Last thing, and again, I'm going quickly just for sake of time. Hopefully I'm doing okay. This is the best part of the tool because again, once reps are using it, the amount of data that reps will have and leadership is going to be out of this world. So there's two types of reports. One is already live. One will be live in the next few weeks. One is called story report. So every time I close a deal, like if you've ever done salespeople close a deal, they ring a bell and they tell a story. The story is usually because it's really emotion based. So I've always thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool if a story was actually based on data? So if I go in and pick a report, that's it. So every time I close a deal, within seconds, a report will be built and it will look something like this. Mike closed TVIs for this amount. Here's who he primarily worked with. Here's how many days it took to close the deal. So it's basically contextualizing the sales cycle. It's taking all of my stages, comparing them to my baseline, i.e., am I getting better? Am I more efficient? By me calling this lead in this industry, in this location, is it worth it for me? Should I go after certain industry sectors? And then all of this information can go back to marketing so they can get that sales team person the right type of lead. Here's all of my actions or touch points. It took me 3 procedure calls, 1 follow-up call, 1 team demo, 1 trial call to do the deal. Here's the deal. Here's my new ACV. And then here's how I performed on this deal compared to my baseline, compared to the rest of the company. So I actually have everything I need, or a sales leader, to be able to even coach my person on, okay, you did great on this deal, or you did better than usual within seconds in a way that looks super professional. And the last part is going to be what's called a performance report. So a performance report, think of it as QBRs. So sales leaders spend hours putting together QBRs. How did you do last month? How did you do last quarter? Well, Managr will do that automatically for you as well, and it'll look like this. So you can go into the person that you want. You'll see how they're doing this month compared to a typical month, compared to the rest of the team. And this is super cool. So this is all data that we have because reps are using it. Now we're just visualizing it. And that's the biggest difference between Managr and any other sales tech stack tool, is they pull data from a CRM. We don't need to, because everyone is working here and we send this info back to the CRM. So we don't need to pull from a tool that has bad data hygiene or inaccuracies, which makes our reports useless. Everything is cleaner. Everything is much more accurate. And the insights, again, are going to be out of this world. That's it. Hopefully I stuck within 5 minutes.
Very nice, Michael. And really impressive on the analytics part since the last time we talked. How many folks are using this now? I know you said you got a couple closed deals.
So Managr, the company started in May. The product launched mid-August. We're already up to 3 customers, and I hope to be to have 5 by the end of this month, and close to 15 by the end of Q4.
Nice. And if there's any questions from anyone in the virtual audience, feel free to chat them. And so, Michael, have you is this all bootstrapped?
All bootstrapped. I just finished a very small friends and family round actually on Friday.
Congrats.
But other than that, it's been all me for everything that I have. Yes.
Nice. And so, if I was in an elevator telling someone about Managr, you're going at it from the data hygiene perspective that makes the sales reps job easier from a data input, data collection, and then you make it really simple for managers to understand who's doing what, how they're doing it, and provide visibility into not only the team but the individual.
Exactly. So when I just got on to G2 Crowd, they actually called me sales analytics software because it's more insight focused than it really is engagement tool or enablement or anything like that. So they actually think a tool like this is closer to an insight squared and Clary than it is maybe to a sales loft or outreach because of the insights it pulls and because it has a pipeline management component. But it's pipeline management for reps. It's easy. It looks like spreadsheets. It's
Yeah.
Airtable for salespeople on that end, but then it's heavy on the analytics for leadership.
Last question. Does everyone that uses Managr, do you want them to be, you obviously want them to spend the majority of their non-sales day, right? So not on the phones, or I guess even an email, you want them to be using Managr, right?
Correct. This is the tool that my customers have open for at least 5 hours a day, every single day, sometimes on weekends. And the best part, they onboard themselves without any training within 15 minutes. That's unheard of in this space.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, will you be around afterwards? Because I see some questions coming in, but I want to make sure we get to the Clove team and make sure that we have enough time for some of the other great products. Andy, welcome. How you doing? Thank you, Michael.
Good morning.
Virtual clap, Michael. Thank you. Andy, why don't you take it away?
Awesome. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so my name is Andy Perez. I am one of the co-founders of Clove. Our goal is to make solutions for modern customer service. I'll talk a bit about that in a second, but to begin here, who we are, my partner is Stephen Bussey. He is a software architect at SalesLoft. He's a technical author. He's written a book. It's a coding book. It's very fancy and it's very excellent, I am told. I ran the support team at SalesLoft also for a few years, which is where I was most recently. Both of us have in common that we're extremely passionate about customer service and customers in particular in that space. So kind of getting to that, we based everything that we're doing in our mission around this idea of modern customer service. A lot of you are probably familiar with using the word modern to kind of describe some of these areas and industries. Like for instance, modern sales is now kind of fully in gear, whereas when we first started at SalesLoft, modern sales was something that still had to be discussed and defined and explained and that sort of thing. So one of the things that we're trying to do, we're interested in accomplishing, is creating this world and working within this world of what we call modern customer service, which is something that I think is still being figured out. I think that there's a lot of good sentiment around a lot of the SaaS industries, which is what we're aimed at, particularly B2B. But there's a lot of good sentiment about serving customers. There's a lot of talk about customer love, a lot of talk about putting customers first, things like that. But there is, I think, ultimately a disconnect between how companies are putting customers first versus what their sentiment is. In other words, how do customers feel whether or not they're being put first? And a lot of that has to do with how much a business invests in its customer service department. And so some of these principles that we're interested in exploring and building tools for, and that's a little bit of what I want to talk about today, oddly enough. But so some of these principles are, for instance, your customer service is part of your product. And I think that's been a difficult thing for people to kind of wrap their heads around. In other words, there's a lot of development that goes around your product. There's a lot of investment that goes around your product and so on. But from the customer's point of view, your customer service is as much a part of your product as your product is a part of your product. And we know this because when customers review your product, they will bring up your service, whether it's excellent or whether it's terrible, that kind of thing. And so customers are emotionally connected to your service as much as they are to your product. And so the way in which you develop that service and the types of tools that you invest in, particularly those that are customer facing, it's as important as the rest of your product development process. So then another one of these principles that we think is important concerning modern customer service is the idea that your customer service employees are one of the centerpieces, if not the centerpiece, of your customer service mechanism. What that means is that if I were looking at the leadership of a company, and the question that I was going to ask is this a company that has a modern service organization? I think one of the metrics that I would be interested in seeing is, are you monitoring your turnover in your customer service department? I think that happy employees make happy customers. I think employees that want to work where they're working are people who serve their customers best. And so my question for some companies is, if you have a huge amount of turnover in your customer service department, why is that if you're saying that you're putting your customer first? So kind of on the third side of this is that if you invest in your customer service department, you're investing in your customers, and vice versa. So what benefits your customers will also benefit your customer service reps, and what benefits your customer service reps benefits your customers. So there's a symbiotic relationship that actually works between those people. And so one of the things that we've always talked about is that it's easier to retain a customer and less expensive to retain a customer than it is to acquire one. And I think everybody knows that, and everyone's talked about it, but at the same time, I think it's still a big temptation to invest in the acquisition side of that equation. And so one of the things that we're focused on is helping turn that more to the retention side. And it's difficult to measure what exactly it is in each case that causes a customer to be loyal to you and causes you to be able to retain that contract. Because that's difficult, what we do believe is that some of these things, like you're seeing on the screen here, some of the things that are paramount to, yeah.
And I'm still on what is modern customer service.
Yeah. So these three things these are the ways that I think you should measure.
Oh, got it.
Measure
okay.
that. So is your customer service easy from the customer's perspective? And are the interactions authentic? And are they moving toward a good relationship between you, the company, you and your reps, and those people and the customers themselves? So to that end, that is my diatribe on modern customer service, and that is what we're aiming at. So we are building two different products at this point. This one is completed, and this is the niche side of the spectrum. This is intelligent screen recording. This is a product that exists in the wild and can be used today, and it is aimed at tier 2 support and support engineer employees. What this does is there is data and information that your support people need in order to be able to diagnose certain types of web app problems. And that information lives on your customer's computer and in your customer's environment, which makes it particularly difficult to get. So if you are a business-to-business company and you have an application and you are trying to get some of this information from your customer, and you find yourself getting on screen shares with engineers and asking customers to walk through 12-step processes where they open DevTools or they open Activity Monitor or Task Manager, and then you're having them take screenshots and so on and so forth, then this is a product that solves that problem. We found, particularly SalesLoft and other similar companies, that there is a lot of time spent by upper escalation and upper tier support people trying to get this information from customers. It is always difficult. Scheduling screen shares and things like that usually takes days, and sometimes you get ghosted, and then that takes weeks. And then it's a horror story where these tickets have gotten extended into infinity. So what this does is it lets a customer, by using an extension, they go and replicate the problem that they're having with your application. And while that's happening, it's recording their screen so that you can see exactly what they're doing and you have a record of this. But then in the meantime, it is also collecting all of that fun data like network logs and JavaScript console stuff and the computer performance and the performance of the web app itself and what extensions they have running and It allows you to clear the cookies and clear the cache just for your application. So it's less annoying for the customers. And when they're recreating the problem, you can test that kind of thing right out without having to necessarily engage the customer in a more formal way, so that it's easier for them to be able to do it on their time to get you this information, and it's easier for you so you can have this information more upfront within the ticket relationship. So if you can get this earlier in the ticket time, it means that you can solve these kinds of things faster. So that is product one. Product two is a customer portal, and this is what we're developing right now. The big idea with this is that all of these things that are listed on this page are things that we expect to put in within a customer portal, that they, especially if they are admins of teams, that the admins would visit this portal in order to be able to work on things like the support tickets for their entire team, be able to look at the product usage and ROI tracking, to keep track of the promises for their whole team, things like that. Now, all of this is available within, probably somewhere within one application or another, or your product or something, but it's available in disparate places. And so what we want to do is we want to give all of these things, put all of these things in one place so that an admin can view them, and that they can, at the same time in viewing these, also have things like product marketing and sales engagement put in front of them, because right now it is very difficult to get product marketing in front of customers outside of CSM sending them emails and things like that. Often that's just as much sales as anything else, and so that's overlooked. The customer overlooks it. So the idea is put some of these things that are important to you and that are ultimately helpful to the customer alongside things that are directly and daily helpful to the customer. I think that's about it.
Awesome.
I think I'm looking at my time. So yeah, there we go.
Andy, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing more about Clove. Are there any questions from the audience on Clove? And Andy, share a little bit more about users and just from the early MVP of kind of V1.
Yeah, so we're working with on a product team of early users for the more technical product, the intelligent screen recording. Right now for customer portal, we're working. Our intention is to get two mid-market customers and basically build something like this specifically and custom to them, and then use those learnings to build something more general that we can start where we allow the customization to be more dynamic as opposed to hard coding. Right now we're at the stage with the portal where we're getting proof of concept from a designer, so all of this can be displayed beautifully.
Got it.
Yeah, so one we're working on customers in iteration cycles, and this one is initial development.
Got it. Awesome. Well, I know Grant just asked a question, but Grant, I know, and it's a good question, but it's probably a little meaty for the time we have left. So feel free to talk with Andy offline or afterwards. Andy, thank you so much. And Andy, second Andy of Tourial, please take it away.
Hey, all right. Thanks, John. I appreciate it, man. Let me go ahead and share my screen too with everyone. All right, I think we're good to go. All right, perfect. Yeah,
Great.
Hey everyone. It is great to be here this morning. Yeah, like John said, my name's Andy Binkley. I'm the CEO and founder of Tourial, which is a sales and marketing engagement tool that enables software companies to build interactive tours of their product, or really what a lot of people in this industry kind of refer to as self-guided demos, right? So the big question is, why would a software company want to create something like this? And this idea actually came back when I was a performance marketer at Gather, a software company that was started right here in Atlanta that John was just referring to earlier. And we needed to find a better way to just get our product in front of people faster. And since we didn't offer a free trial, we had to get a little creative with it. So when I stumbled across this concept of self-guided tours that were built using screenshots, I had a hunch that this was the answer. And yes, it performed very well, but that's when I realized that there was this huge problem that the software industry was facing. And that's that software companies still aren't delivering meaningful product experiences before the sale. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you think about when you tour a house or an apartment in person, before you do that, you can take a virtual tour online, right? So software is already online. So why don't we have like a better way to preview it or to tour it? And the answer is because software companies, they just don't have the resources to build those interactive experiences. And so as a result, their cost to acquire a customer goes up because got to pour money in all these different channels, more video, more salespeople, more ad spend, fancier websites. All of these they're falling short of what a buyer would consider to be a meaningful product experience before the sale. And that's where Tourial comes in. So Tourial allows companies to provide those meaningful product experiences to their buyers before the sale. And it does that in 3 ways. So these tours are easily accessible. They live outside the application at a URL, right? So just like a website, which makes them far more accessible than a sandbox, free trial, a demo environment. And number 2, these tours, they feel very real. So even though they're not actually inside the app, they feel very real, which we'll see here in just a second. And it's a no-code platform, right? So if you can take a screenshot, you can build a tour. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you what I mean. So this is actually one of our customers, Sonar, who built a tour based here in Atlanta. They built this tour. And what you see here is nothing but screenshots, right? So mixed with some interactive tools like hot buttons, for example, that, like I said earlier, this is what makes you really feel like you're clicking something inside the app, even though you're not. You've got zoom effects, like what you see here, to really engage and focus on specific views within the app. Tooltips, obviously, and hotspots. So these hotspots can be used to like trigger other actions or other tools inside the tour itself. And all of these work together to create this interactive and engaging product experience. But what's really cool and what's really unique and great about these tours is that you can build them in all kinds of ways. So as you see with Sonar here, this is really more like a website, right? Where it kind of stands alone. But since each tour has its own unique custom URL, you can actually embed these on websites too. So this tour is from another one of our customers, Terminus, where they've literally done just that. Again, taking advantage of the interactive nature of tours to create this meaningful product experience or preview of their software for their audience. Now I'm gonna go ahead and jump inside the app really quick. And what you'll see is, like I mentioned earlier, building tours, it's a no-code platform. So it's super quick, it's super easy to build these. All you have to do is upload your screenshots. Over here on the right-hand side, this is where you're gonna add your tools. This tooltip is an example of one of those tools. It's a drag and drop platform, you move it around, you have total control over the customization and the styling. You save it, and again, it's just that custom URL that links to these tours. And you can take that tour and it can now be sent out as a link in emails, it can be embedded in websites and used in virtually all of your sales and marketing campaigns, any sales and marketing campaigns that you want to use them for. Here's the thing, like tours are actually already happening, right? So the big players in this space, the biggest SaaS companies are already building these, right? So Salesforce, Oracle, Slack, IBM, all these guys are building these out-of-app product experiences just like the ones you saw earlier. And that's what we're helping companies do. We're helping them build them as well with Tourial. So we launched our MVP back in early 2020. And since then, my co-founder, Jason, another former Gather colleague, has joined, and we've signed 9 new customers. Our current annual revenue is at $16K. Coming this fall, we're raising a pre-seed round, which is going to be used for product development, starting out by bringing on a head of engineering, and then expanding our sales and marketing efforts. We're also very close to releasing the first version of our analytics suite, which I'm really pumped for because it's going to allow our customers to track all the engagement that's happening inside their individual tours, but it's also going to help drive up our ACV, right? And it's going to allow us to be a little bit more enterprise focused and focus a little bit more on enterprise customers. So that's it. I want to thank everyone for joining and hearing about Tourial this morning. But would love to hear any questions and get any feedback on what people think about it. So thanks.
Well done, Andy and Jason. Very nice. And so y'all's ideal customer is, you mentioned Sonar, Terminus, any B2B. Give us kind of what your ideal customer profile looks like.
Yeah, right now we're really trying to go after the SaaS industry, right? Specifically, the people that feel the pain the most are companies with more complex products, or not necessarily complex products, but just people who, have that extra layer of friction in their sales process where they require the buyer to request a demo. Those are the specific companies that we really target, because that's, again, where the pain is felt the most. On the ideal customer side, product marketers love this, right? So the marketing teams, the performance marketers, but since there is a pretty strong design component to actually building these, this is where when a product marketer sees the capability of the platform, they get really excited because they're now able to really communicate their value and their product messaging in an incredible way that they've never been able to do before.
Sure. And Bruce is asking, what's the pricing?
Yeah, so we do $300 a month for 5 tours. It's based on tour volume, right? So it's $300 a month for 5 tours, $500 for 10. Up beyond that, it kind of gets a little bit more custom, so it becomes a little bit more enterprise deal. But we actually just introduced a new kind of like a startup price where we're doing 1 tour for $100 a month, just to kind of get people to try it out, see if that 1 tour is going to work for them, get them to kind of put it in some of their email marketing, sales email campaigns. So.
Nice. Yeah. Well, getting some good feedback from the questions in the group chat, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Beautiful. Well, we are closing in on the 9:00 hour. Want to give a friendly reminder: the Atlanta Healthcare Entrepreneur next get together is in mid-October, and I believe it's October 14th. Is that right, JC?
Correct. Yep.
October 14th around lunchtime, and